Class is in session and a brand new school year is upon us. It is a brand new season of college football, and it is a brand new season of the College Football Hitting the Books show. Ian Cameron, Connor Mack. This is now, shockingly, if you can believe it, our 6th year with Hitting the Books. It is hard to believe it has been that long already. Of course, we've expanded the show on our new YouTube channel to include other sports, college basketball, Major League Baseball. But at the foundation of this show, the root of this show, it's college football. That's where this show was started on Mondays throughout the college football season. And it is nice to be back in the swing of things, back in the routine again, C-Mac, every Monday, breaking down the college football card. And this is just an appetizer. This is week 0. And yes, there's only 4 games to break down on this card. But boy, is it nice to be able to talk college football and preview some games again.
Oh, yeah. It's just glad it's back. Glad to be back in the saddle. Back in the saddle again. Whatever that song goes.
Little Aerosmith,
Yes. Okay. You nailed it. But, yeah, I'm just glad football is back. The game that I love the most. The most, I guess, to bet on college football regularly. So I'm pumped. I say we get right to it. And, 6th year going on. That's how long we've been together, man. It's time flies,
It's shocking. I went back and looked. I'm like, holy shit, this is actually our 6th year doing this show. It's hard to believe that, but here we are once again for a brand new season of it means we're getting old. That's what it means. But everyone gets old. So it is what it is. You roll with the
undefeated. Undefeated.
You got it. Other times undefeated. And right now we're undefeated in college football because we haven't placed a bet yet. So, but that's going to change this weekend. And hopefully we have an undefeated first weekend. That would be great to start college football that way. All right, let's get right into it. And we will begin with probably the biggest game. It is. It's the headliner for week 0 on Saturday. And once again, we begin our college football season, not in the United States, but once again in Dublin, Ireland. Aviva Stadium will be the home for the season opener of the college football season. And it's a Big 12 conference matchup to get things going. The Iowa State Cyclones taking on the Kansas State Wildcats. Current line as Kansas State 3-point favorites. Again, this is on a neutral field over in Dublin, Ireland. 49.5 the total here in this game. First thing I did prior to the show is check the latest weather forecast over in Dublin, Ireland for Saturday. It's always what you want to do. And all things considered, not going to be too bad. Partly to mostly cloudy, but no precipitation in the forecast as of now. And the winds don't look to be too bad. We're looking in the 15-kilometer, 20, 25 mile per hour range. So winds do not look like they're going to be that big of a factor. Now, there has been, widespread observations when they've played here in the past that sometimes footing isn't the greatest on this surface, on this field. It'll be interesting to see. Certainly the fact that there doesn't seem to be any precipitation in the forecast. And in fact, the days leading up to this game in Ireland, the weather looks pretty solid as well. So this could be one if there is such thing as this playing surface being adequate for football, if it's ever going to be that, it's probably a better chance of it this year because it looks like dry conditions in Ireland leading into this game. One of the things that I noted with both of these, we'll start with Iowa State. We went into depth with these teams, obviously in the Big 12 preview, so I'm not going to try to regurgitate everything all over again. But the things that I want to hit home with Iowa State is obviously this year they bring back a very experienced quarterback in Rocco Becht. He's been here for a good amount of time. He had a pretty solid year last year for the Cyclones as well. But there is still a lot of turnover and a lot of new faces around him. The good news is the offensive line is one of those position groups that's in decent shape here for Iowa State, where they have 3 starters back. So that's pretty solid. Rocco Becht, like I said, he's gotten increasingly better. I think his career started a little bit rough, but no, there's no question he's made improvements and strides forward, no doubt. He's also a tough son of a gun. He throws the ball. He's willing to run. He takes a pounding too. Like he's willing to take on contact when he runs the football. He's got that kind of a mentality, a winning mindset to him, which is what you want to see. They also bring back Carson Hansen, who's going to be their lead running back this season for the Cyclones. Now, they do have some new faces at receiver, and they got kind of raided a little bit there with departures, but they did do pretty good in the transfer portal, bringing in some talent at the wide receiver position. So the offense, all things considered, running backs look solid. Bring those Hansen back in particular, the lead back. Beck's back at quarterback. 3 of the 5 are back on the O-line. The only concern, I guess, would be the receiving core, but there's talent. It's going to be a question of, do they assimilate quickly and get that chemistry with Beck going quickly? That's going to be the question. The defensive side of the football, if you look back at the numbers last year, that's where it kind of took a hit for Iowa State. They weren't quite that same great defensive team. They weren't horrible, but their defensive numbers did take a step back last year. And last year, a big problem was the run defense. They just gave up way too much on the ground, the Iowa State Cyclones, and that is a concern. And another concern is, now you could say they struggled against the run last year. The fact that a lot of defensive linemen from last year are gone, that might be a good thing. But you're still talking about a lot of new faces. Is the chemistry going to be there on the D-line right away for Iowa State? I have my doubts, and unfortunately, C-Mac, you're playing an opponent here right off the chute in week 0, Kansas State. What are they going to be looking to do? Yeah, they're going to run the football quite a bit. So if you're talking about a Iowa State defense that struggled, last year to stop the run, and you've got a lot of new faces on the D-line to start this season, could that be a problem here in this game against Kansas State, who will look to run the football, obviously, early and often? Secondary, there's also new faces there, and there's going to be some youth. There's going to be some new players brought in via the portal, but a lot of them are going to have to prove themselves as starters. A lot of those portal additions are not starters from where they came. So that is going to be something to watch out for Iowa State coming into this season. So secondary concerns, defensive line concerns. They're better off at linebacker, which is a good sign. But 2 of the levels of the defense, there are some legit concerns. Meanwhile, Kansas State, Chris Kleiman already his 7th season here at K-State. Avery Johnson returning at the quarterback position. Again, working on his pocket passing, and reading and his progressions and getting better at all that, making better decisions. That's where Avery Johnson has to take the next step for Kansas State. The offensive line here is pretty good as well. Dylan Edwards, a very solid running back in the fold once again here for the Wildcats as well. And they've got some pretty solid depth behind him at the running back spot as well, this Kansas State team. The defensive side of the football, very solid against the run, unlike Iowa State last year. Kansas State was very solid against stopping the run, less than 4 yards per rush allowed last season. Pretty good. You look at the D-line this season, they should be really good in that group. So you give a defensive line edge on paper going into this game, starting the season, to Kansas State, in my opinion, because I think Iowa State's got a lot more question marks there. Wildcats, a pretty solid linebacking core as well, led by Austin Romaine, who's an excellent player. Secondary for them has concerns. Talked about Iowa State having concerns and a lot of new faces and hoping a lot of these transfer portal additions hit in the secondary. You could say the same damn thing about Kansas State. They've made a lot of changes. Past defense last year at times kind of struggled, so it was a complete offseason revamping of the secondary. C-Mac, who the hell knows how it's going to work out, when it's just a bunch of brand new faces throwing in there right away. So the bottom line is this total's come down, and from a pace standpoint, I get it. This total opened early in the spring and summer at 50.5. It's come down to 49.5. Clearly, there was always weather concerns. The weather doesn't look like it's going to be too bad. You're not going to get pace, and I understand that from an under standpoint here. Iowa State's not going to play fast. Kansas State's not going to play fast. But there are a lot of concerns on defense for Iowa State on the D-line and in the secondary, and Kansas State should have success running it, I think, against them. And on the flip side, when you look at Kansas State, their secondary's got issues. They're certainly better off on the D-line on paper to start the year than Iowa State, but Iowa State does have a good run game. They've got a quarterback that grew up last year in the passing game and Beck. I'll kind of lean over with the 49.5. It's not a super strong opinion, but and I'm going to wait to bet this because there's no chance that I'm betting it today. I want to get closer to Saturday and see what that forecast is going to be, because it could change. This is Ireland. Things can change over there in the UK sometimes very quickly, just like that as far as weather. So I'm going to wait on this, but I'm kind of leaning over 49.5. That efficiency can trump pace here in this game offensively. Sidewise, I didn't have an opinion initially because it was 3.5 just a couple weeks ago. It's come down to 3 or less. I lean K-State. I just think they're going to be able to do a better job running the football against Iowa State than vice versa. That, I think, could be what tilts it in K-State's favor. I think their defense is on less shaky ground, the Wildcats coming into the year, than the Cyclones. So I think that could end up tilting this game toward K-State. Again, I haven't moved on it yet, but we're just throwing some leans out there on this game that if it's 3 or better, I would look at Kansas State, and I do lean at 49.5 to the over in this game. Again, waiting till later in the week to move on either. And even then, I'm not sure I will, but I'm leaning in those directions. C-Mac, what do you think here for the season opener, Iowa State, K-State?
Yeah, KP, we will get to touch on a couple MLB games at the very end of the show. We're not going to go through them, but we'll hit on a couple bets that we like. On the total here, right off the bat, yeah, this is a wait for me too. I mean, looks like it's going to be clear, but that, we're still a little bit out here because I was thinking I'd want over to the 49. There's 49.5. Does this drop maybe a little bit more? So I'm kind of lukewarm if this drops and see how it plays out. That maybe it could slip over. Going back with these two teams, they played some overs. Just glancing at the history, Iowa State too. Winners of 4 of 5. K-State's only win a couple years ago was 10-9. That was one of the kind of rare unders, like low scoring game between these two. But Iowa State, you mentioned it. Beck's back. You gotta like that. The running backs, I think, are pretty good. Iowa State been not the best team ATS in August too. Last few years, always like to look at that, how these teams come out of the chute early on in August and September, and their record ATS. With those receivers out, they had the transfer from ECU. They're going to need some of those guys to make some big plays. They're going to want to run the ball, but it won't be easy. K-State, their run defense, I think, will be solid. Be solid again. They got a couple good linebackers, good safety and Payne, so I think they can hold that. But the flip side with Iowa State, I mean, you hit on it a little bit. The pass defense was all right. We'll see if it's that good, but very, very good when you look at the numbers there. But the run defense, we hit on it a bunch last year and in the preview, so that it's been pretty rough. Then they weren't able to get pressure on the quarterback. They just weren't. They have a good D tackle, and I think he's basically all conference in Orange. So they have a couple players. It's just that will be big in this game. And the quarterback play between both. Let's get to Johnson here. They're going to run the ball. They were second in the conference. Very, very good last year was K-State. They should have success here. Avery Johnson, though, just is a different guy. This is not a traditional road game. I mean, it's been the classic. When he's at home, back him. On the road, fade him. This is neutral. A little bit different opening game. Dangerous. The guy can run, obviously. Mobile quarterback. Very good. But I got to see more. People think he's going to be a lot better throwing the ball. I want to see it a little bit, especially on a game like this, on a neutral or a road game with Johnson. So that, I think, is up in the air. So I think there could be a couple, big plays, interceptions, stuff like that in a game like this with these two quarterbacks that maybe could change it. So on the side here, I didn't bet the 3.5. I just didn't. A little bit early out, I didn't. It's 3. I'd want the 3.5 because I do lean Iowa State here. I just don't think there's a ton that separates these two teams. The run defense scares the shit out of me from what I saw, last year. And but K-State's just not a team I've wanted to back a ton on the road. But looking back, it's like, do I want to run to Iowa State with some of the numbers early on, play in Ireland? So it's 3 and a hook. I was interested here with Iowa State, but just not a game I've been involved to wait a little bit here. Man, if I want to pull the trigger, talked about the total a little bit with the side. I think this game is pretty close. I don't know if it's like this is college football game one, so it can happen, but I think it's like a 10-point game or less, in the end. And we've seen that a bunch when these teams get together. One thing, though, they don't play on a neutral field, and they don't really play game one. These teams always play in November, late October, year in, year out. And just a little bit of a difference there. But I just think that, a little bit too close. Line's probably right, but lean Iowa State here for me.
All right, there you go. Lean Iowa State for me, or lean Iowa State for CMAC. Lean Kansas State for me, and neither of us feel strongly about either one. So tells you all you need to know about this one. It could be a good live betting game. That's the one thing I'll probably.
Yeah, that's great too. Yeah, all eyes are going to be on this game.
Yeah, I don't think either team is going to separate from the other. So if one scores a touchdown, you bet the other. That's kind of going to be the approach. I think it will be.
See how it goes. Like we talked about, turnovers early, just you're not in rhythm. The game one, you don't have to bet this just because it's fucking the first game and it's in Ireland. Everyone wants to. Everyone's itching here. I know you got to scratch that itch. But sometimes you just let's wait a little bit, bet it live. I think it'd be the better way to roll here.
Sometimes patience is the best course of action. 100%. That is
especially
definitely true.
As a gambler, if you're betting on sports, yes.
No doubt. There's definitely truth to that. One thing that would concern you if you like Kansas State in this game, because I did notice this, and it does concern me a little.
Did you just bounce? Can you guys hear me? Yeah? Okay, we'll take it over. He must have bounced from his internet. But
there we go. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're back. All good.
Are you good? You gonna go? Okay. Go ahead. Take it over.
No. I apologize, guys. Close the wrong window. We're back.
No, you're good. I was just gonna keep going. Go ahead.
I was just about to say the one thing that would concern me if you like Kansas State, and I lean that way, is that Iowa State's really owned them. Certainly from a point spread standpoint. You look at the recent meetings between these two teams, and it's been an Iowa State skewed series. Iowa State's covered 5 straight head-to-head versus Kansas State. 5-0 against the spread for Iowa State, and only one win, 1-4, by the way, Kansas State in those 5 games, and the one win was 10-9, 1 point. It really has been Iowa State controlling this head-to-head series. So, yeah, that's why I would need this to get down to a damn near pick 'em to take Kansas State. I don't even really want them at -3.
Is it 3 even? That's how I kind of thought a little bit.
Yeah,
you got the hook. I think it's easy. We'll see what Johnson does. Too. This could be the big game. To get it going. A lot of hype behind him if he has a big game.
And remember, these have been all Kleiman versus Campbell. There hasn't been any coaching changes. Kleiman's been here 7 years. Matt
they know each other.
Been here even longer at Iowa State. They know each other well. And so with the same 2 coaches at their respective teams, that's 4-1 straight up, 5-0 against the spread for Iowa State. Head-to-head versus Kansas State the last 5 meetings. You can't ignore that, and there's definitely something to that.
Me too. I just think there's not a ton. It's just a little bit of the game one in Ireland and everything kind of around it, I think. But if you got a 3.5 and you really like Iowa State, you got to feel good. At least you have the hook if you got it.
No doubt. You got a good number if you got the 3.5. All right, next up, Sam Houston State Bearcats, Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. As we go to the Conference USA for this matchup here. Western Kentucky, 10-point home favorites, 60 the total. This is obviously regular, location, if you will. Western Kentucky, true home game. No neutral field here for this one. I am not obviously bearish. Actually, I am bearish, no pun intended, on the Bearcats this year. I don't like the way things are kind of trending with them. It was a great season last year. They lose, in my opinion, a guy that's a great coach in Casey Keeler, who had been there for a very long time. Don't be surprised if it's going to be a tough maybe first year at Temple for him. But don't be surprised if Casey Keeler gets Temple going in the next few years in the upward direction once again. But Sam Houston State brings in Phil Longo. I'm not enamored by that, especially from a head coaching standpoint. I thought things were kind of flamed out at really his last 2 spots. North Carolina, when he was an OC there under Mac Brown, it kind of fizzled at the end, and the offense and it just didn't go well. And then, of course, it was almost a disaster for him at Wisconsin when he was brought on board there to be the offensive coordinator. And now you're making him the head coach. I don't know if he's really head coach. I've seen this guy do a lot of interviews, and I just from afar, just looking at body language and the way he talks to the media, I don't look at that as a guy that looks like a head coach that commands a group of kids in a locker room, in my opinion. So I can't say this hire is great. I don't think it's a great fit schematically either, because what's Sam Houston State been built on all these years? Power run game, slow it down, and really, really rely on a heavy ground game as their offensive philosophy. Well, you're going to bring in Phil Longo, who's the head coach, and Zach Patterson's going to be the offensive coordinator. But apparently Patterson, even though he's been with the Sam Houston program for a bit, he plans on kind of, being a yes man here and a puppet, if you will, to Longo. Because what Longo wants to see in this Sam Houston State offense this year is more throwing, more passing, and a faster pace. He wants more tempo, and he wants to throw the ball a little bit more. Now, the question is, you're now installing this for a team that's been power run game and recruiting players for a run-heavy offense. How's it going to pan out initially is the question. The good news is he does inherit a very experienced quarterback who's been here for a while now with Sam Houston State in Hunter Watson. My one question is, I love the experience. He's a gamer, but his pocket passing is not the strength of his. He's been kind of a run quarterback, an RPO system type quarterback for Sam Houston in the recent years under Keeler. And now Phil Longo is saying, hey, Hunter, we know you're a good athlete. We know you're a good runner. You're still kind of erratic as far as passing, but damn it, you're going to throw the football. How is that going to work? Kind of is a big question here with Sam Houston State. It's almost like, hey, you may not be adept to throw the football, 30, 40 times a game, but I'm running the show here because I'm Phil Longo and I know best. You're going to throw the football a lot more now. So there's real question marks, bottom line, about whether this is going to work, here with Sam Houston State, this offense. That'll be a fascinating thing to behold. I still think there's pieces of this offensive line or offense overall that are in good shape. We'll get to the defense in a second. That's the area that is completely depleted. We'll get to that in a second. The Sam Houston State defense is starting over from scratch this year. It shouldn't be as bad a situation here for the offense. The biggest fear, as I mentioned, that I have for the offense is just the significant scheme change they're undergoing, and whether Hunter Watson, the incumbent quarterback, is going to be the best fit for the kind of offense that Phil Longo now wants to implement and put in here and install with this Sam Houston State team. So that's definitely something to be a little bit concerned about here for sure. They do have to replace their top two running backs, brand new receivers there at the skill positions. How's that going to go? It looks like Elijah Green and Alton McCaskill going to be the primary running backs for this team. They do say good things about Quavez Humphreys at the receiving core. And so even though there's some new faces there, they're saying good things about some of the skill position talent they do have. It'll be interesting to see just how this overall offense is able to fit here when it's all said and done, because you are talking about a quarterback that at times struggled with accuracy, at times struggled with interceptions, and now you're going to have to ask him to throw the football a bit more. The O-line's in decent shape, though, for the Sam Houston State Bearcats, so that's the good sign. If you flip it to the defense, they were a very good defensive team last year. They forced a ton of turnovers. They were very good against the run. They were solid in the secondary. It was the Sam Houston State defense that was probably, the strength of the team last year. The offense had its moments, and the offense was solid. But the defense was really good for Casey Keeler and Sam Houston State last year. But now you look at the situation here, new defensive coordinator, their top tackler's gone. They've lost pretty much all the key defensive linemen and edge rushers that they had. So the pass rush is going to take a huge hit this year for the Sam Houston State defense, at least on paper, based on what they're not bringing back. So you're concerned about that. The DC is going to be Freddie Autry-Lindsey from NC State. And NC State, has had solid defense over the years, but there's a lot of lost personnel, scheme change, coordinator change. How can you not? Especially in a conference like this, where there's going to be good offenses and good quarterbacks. How do you not think Sam Houston State's defense is going to struggle more this year, especially early in the season, as they get used to all the new faces, new coordinator, and obviously the new defense. And the thing that hurts Sam Houston State here, C-Max, I just talked about how the defense is basically starting over from scratch, and I don't think it's going to be very good to start the season. What an opponent to have to play in your first game, because Western Kentucky could be, freaking loaded for bear on offense this year, entering this season. And that's the scary part. When you look at this Hilltoppers team, you go all the way back to when Jeff Brom was the head coach here all those years ago. And just how they've always had good offenses, good quarterback play. Tyson Helton now been here a very long time, 7th season here as head coach of the Hilltoppers. Okay, they're replacing starting quarterback. They're replacing a lot of their receivers. There are 4 starters on the offensive line gone. And you would think, just based on what they lost from last year, their offense is going to take a huge step back. But there is a huge, huge continuity factor that I think should help Western Kentucky hit the ground running offensively right away, especially in a game like this against a rebuilding defense. And that's the fact that Tyson Helton brought in Rick Bowie from Valdosta State as his offensive coordinator and brought the quarterback that Rick Bowie had at Valdosta State to Western Kentucky with him in Maverick McIver. And from all indications, this kid can sling it. He's a very accurate quarterback. He has been putting up massive numbers at Valdosta State the last few years in this offense. He has his coordinator that he had there at Valdosta State, Rick Bowie. McIver in an offense he's comfortable with. They brought in some of the O-linemen transferred over as well from Valdosta State. So this all of a sudden is like Valdosta State offense coming to Western Kentucky. So there's continuity, there's familiarity, and I think that could be a sign that, even though they lost a lot from last year's team, you've got this opportunity to really start fast because you've got so many people that are used to what's going on that you've brought in here on offense for Western Kentucky. And that's really, really, I think, an important thing to factor in here. The offense will, and keep in mind, too, that all those pieces on offense, C-Mac, that they lost from last year, you can make an argument that was the weakest and worst Hilltopper offense that we've seen in a long time. That was not the Western Kentucky offense where we've become accustomed to, where it's just plug and play. They're chucking the ball. They're putting up 30 points, 40 points a week. They're creating big plays on offense. They didn't really do that consistently last year, Western Kentucky. I mean, they only averaged 24.5 points per game, 84th in the country. That's way down from what they've averaged in the past. So I think when you look at it, okay, all the offense is gone from last year, but you bring in an OC and a quarterback, that hand-in-glove fit from another school to come in right away, and I think be familiar and comfortable right away to be pretty solid. So I really worry in this matchup, C-Mac, about that Sam Houston defense, because I think McIver and his OC, Rick Bowie, they're going to hit the ground running, and they could absolutely slice and dice a defense that's kind of starting over. The question is going to be, can Sam Houston's offense early in the season kind of acclimate themselves quickly to this change in offense, this scheme change, where they're going to go from run heavy to throwing the ball at least 50-50, if not even a little bit more pass, and play with more tempo. How will that go for Sam Houston? And when you look at the Western Kentucky defense last year, their defense still was not great. The run defense in particular was not very good either. That's a concern for this Western Kentucky group. There was definitely a decline in that side of the football. And when you look at it, the returning production is less than stellar, in my opinion, on Western Kentucky's defense entering this season. So even though you're learning a new offense for Sam Houston State, there could be opportunities for them to move the football. As you can tell, I like over the total here. The total's 60. Western Kentucky, as always, they'll play with tempo. And they are going to crank the tempo up even more, because I think with Tyson Helton last year, we even saw them slow it down a little bit because the offense was just so ineffective and struggled way more than it has in the past. Well, not this year. They're going back to pace, bringing in Bowie and McIver, the OC and the quarterback together from Valdosta State. They're comfortable. They played a very fast pace.
Didn't you go to Abilene Christian?
It was Valdosta State. That they
swear it was Abilene Christian.
Was it Abilene? It was Abilene Christian. Sorry. Valdosta State before that was where Bowie was, and then Abilene Christian. But yes, most recently,
Yeah.
you're right. Abilene Christian, most recently. Yes, my
Yeah.
bad. Abilene Christian is where Rick Bowie and most recently Rick Bowie and Maverick McIver both applied their trade. So they come over from Abilene Christian, and they played lightning fast pace. They're bringing that to Western Kentucky. I think they'll slice a rebuilding Sam Houston State defense. And on the flip side, there's enough holes and concerns, in my opinion, with the Hilltopper defense that even with a new offense and going from run heavy to more 50-50 and more passing and more pace, that even Hunter Watson and Sam Houston State can score and put up points and contribute to the total. So I like the over. I would also maybe consider the Western Kentucky side of it, because I do get concerned as the game goes on. It may be a little bit more difficult for Sam Houston State to keep pace for 60 minutes. So I think I may look at now it's probably going to be around 35 in that range. See if you can get it below the key number of 35 if you can. But a Western Kentucky team total over is very interesting to me. I could see it. I really think Sam Houston State's up against it here. This is a defense starting from scratch, and this is an OC and quarterback coming in here to Western Kentucky that know each other and know their system and know their playbook very, very well. And this McIver, from all indications, can absolutely throw the football, and he's put up monster numbers at Abilene Christian. So I like over the total of 60 in this game, and with also maybe a look toward possibly isolating Western Kentucky's team total over in this game as well. CMAC, what do you think here? Sam Houston State and Western Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, we will see. I mean, they're going to want to play at that kind of pace. With the new coach, with Long, we talked about, I don't know what we get with Sam Houston. They were just so slow last year, and the best defense in the conference, scoring defense, which is just gutted. Talked about, I mean, they still have 2 to 3 starters basically coming back, but I want to see it more, because it is. I mean, a lot of it's just gone. Watson's still there, and I think you can run the ball. One thing is, though, with Western Kentucky, I thought their defense early on against the teams that they play was pretty good. They were shit down the stretch. I mean, and this team lost 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're really any better now. And also, just when I look at this line too, it's like, I guess you're going off last year a little bit with the number, but it almost seems like it'd be higher. And just when I see Western Kentucky, they are at home. I'm not going to lay double digits unless I got to see the guy first. I got to see good old Maverick fucking sling the rock around. I'm just not interested in the lane. I just don't see him, even though I think the offense will be pretty good. He could come out, have some turnovers. This could be wild. So there's just a lot of question marks in this game, and a Sam Houston team that maybe I'm a little biased too, because I mean, I bet them a ton. They're great as an underdog. The unders were money with them, but yeah, they have some real issues going forward. We'll see if Watson can throw the ball a little bit more. I mean, he is who he is. He's got to run it. I mean, he's college quarterback in this
what
conference.
I've seen, they're not going to just be all of a sudden air raid offense.
They can't.
They're not, and they can't. He's not that stupid. I don't think he's the best coach, but he's not that dumb. They are still going to be. It's just that they were probably, I would say, under Keeler, Sam Houston was probably 70-30 with a run-pass split. They were definitely more heavy to the run. Probably be closer to 50-50 this year with the new offense in place.
So with me, this is the way. I mean, there's just no way on the side. It would be Sam Houston with the points, and because of that, the defense is the big issue. If they could just be all right here, I think it's under or nothing. But there's just so many question marks, with it, with this high total. So yeah, it's just a stay off for me in this game.
There it is. It's Conference USA getting started for the new season with that matchup there. Sam Houston State taking on Western Kentucky. All right, next up, very fascinating one here. We've got Fresno State and Kansas. Kansas Jayhawks, 13-point home favorites here. Total 50.5. Very important to note that Kansas is back in their natural home stadium this year, the brand new stadium, the David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium, which is all ready to rock here for for week 0. So you do have to factor that in. Should be a great atmosphere. It's a Saturday night game. You're opening a brand new stadium for Kansas Jayhawks football. That's going to mean that's a little bit of a situational and tangible extra little advantage probably for Kansas going into this game. That being said, we are asking this team to lay double digits, and this has not always been their best point spread role, the last couple of seasons when you look at it. They have not been exactly reliable laying chalk, laying points. And last year, they had that awful, dismal start to the season. Now, they did get red hot down the stretch. They played better. Jalen Daniels, their quarterback, who struggled early in the season, he played better. He's back once again. Feels like he's been here for a very long time, Jalen Daniels, but he's back. They certainly finished the season strong last year. They went 5-1 against the spread, 4-2 straight up down the stretch, including, wins against Iowa State, BYU, Colorado. There were some good wins for Kansas down the stretch in Big 12 play. But let's not forget they didn't finish the season. They didn't start the season well. They lost outright as favorites to Illinois. They lost outright as favorites at home to UNLV. They lost pick'em games against TCU and West Virginia. They lose to Arizona State last year. Remember, the West Virginia loss. West Virginia did not have a very good season. So all things considered, it was not a good start for Kansas last year. Now, when you look at the Jayhawks this year, there's reason for I like Lance Leipold, no doubt about that. I trust them to have probably a little bit of a step forward this year as well. But there are still question marks. There are still holes. Let's not forget that this was a defense that couldn't stop anything most of the season, especially early on. How much of an improvement is that unit going to make this year? I'd like to see that before I'm ready to lay 13 in a spot like this, the first game of the season, knowing that how much of the struggles that side of the football had last year for the Jayhawks. And it was bad. Like, they were getting ripped and they were getting carved up and they were, giving up big plays. It's a reason why this year, they're bringing in, obviously, they made some changes. Obviously, a guy like Lance Leipold's not going to be happy with what he saw defensively. So in comes DK McDonald now as the new DC. And in fact, he's got a couple of new OCs as well, and Jim Zabrowski and Matt Lubbock. So it'll be interesting to see now with the new coordinators, both sides of the ball, how it's going to fare. But when you look, obviously, at last year's defense, just wasn't really that great. 79th, over 28 points per game allowed. Not really what you want to see, no question about that. The defensive line actually looks like it could be in steady shape. But again, you're bringing in a lot of new talent. They went really transfer portal heavy on the defensive side of the football. This Kansas State team, only 5 starters back. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out for them this year. Like I said, on the offensive side of the football last year, Daniel struggled early, but he really got it going down the stretch. Can he keep that going throughout the season? The offensive line should be very good. I will say that. Kansas does look like they bring back a pretty solid offensive line entering this season. And again, Daniel's healthy. They really like Daniel Hishaw, the running back. He should be solid. Emmanuel Henderson leading them at receiver. No question about that. But again, it'll be interesting to see how they fare with the receiving core, because outside of that, there's some depth concerns for Kansas. Then you flip it around to Fresno State, and brand new head coach, Matt Entz, who is a pretty well-renowned coach, did some great things at the FCS level, was formerly a head coach of North Dakota State, which has been a FCS powerhouse, for the last several years. Most recently, linebacker coach under Lincoln Riley at USC. And now he comes over here to be head coach for Fresno State. One thing to point out with Fresno State, and there is going to be a little bit of a philosophy change, if you will, for this Fresno State team coming into this season. And it's going to be a little bit of a shift from what we saw. And it's going to be on the offensive side, where we've seen a little bit more pace and a little bit more of a pass-heavy approach. Not this year. This is going to be slow it down, really, really slow it down, and really run the football a lot. Not just a little bit, a lot is what we're expected to see out of Fresno State this year. They're going to be, and I already read things that they plan on playing mostly CMAC, 12 personnel, 13 personnel. And what that means is multiple tight ends to help block for the run game. So when you look at that kind of a formation, it tells you they're just going to go old school power football, which is a very interesting approach offensively when you bring in a guy like E.J. Warner, who is going to be their new starting quarterback. Of course, we've seen E.J. Warner now a bunch, Temple, Rice. He's played in both places in the past, and now he is going to take over as the starting quarterback here for Fresno State. And yes, he has the pedigree of his dad, Kurt Warner, no question about that, but we haven't seen the progression. We haven't seen the improvement. We have not seen E.J. Warner take that big leap in really any of his college football seasons. Like, this guy for his career isn't completing 60% of his passes. Keep that in mind. So, like I said, when you look at it, you would think, well, you brought in a guy, E.J. Warner, that was highly recruited, and yet you're going to run the football a ton. Does that really make sense? It actually does make sense, because I have yet to see, Connor, and you can tell me if you agree or not, I have yet to see E.J. Warner play great, as a college football quarterback. So if you can put a good run game around him, a solid offensive line around him for this Fresno State team, and then put him in a spot where he's not asked to do a lot, he can be a complement to the run game, which I think is going to be Matt Entz's, approach here. We're going to try to support. It's not E.J. Warner's going to support us. We're going to support E.J. Warner with this offense. We're going to put the tools around him to make life a little easier on him. So they definitely plan on running the football quite a bit this year, Fresno State, in this new offense, and saying, play action. When the defense now is focusing a lot on the run, then it opens up for some things down the field, and that's where Warner can make some plays. But they are definitely going to try to take something off his plate and run this football quite a bit this year. And they certainly have a very solid ground game to do that, led by, and they've got two good ones, Elijah Gilliam and Bryson Donaldson. These are two pretty solid running backs that Fresno State has this year. They both, last year, he averaged almost 500 yards for the season, over 6 yards per carry. Really good stuff coming into this season, no question about that. And yeah, there's only two starters on the O-line, and it's a lot of new faces at receiver, but they're going to run the football a lot. So if you're going to be a little weaker, the receiving core is not a bad place to be weaker when you're going to run the football a lot. And even though they got two offensive line starters back, I always say that you can survive less experience on the O-line if you're going to run the football a lot, because it's easier to run block than pass protect. Anybody that watches football knows that. That's why they say all the time on a broadcast, when the offensive line is struggling, run the football. Let them get off their blocks, because it's just easier for these guys to run block than it is pass protect. So even with just two starters back on the O-line, I don't think that's going to be an insurmountable problem for Fresno State entering this season. So it'll be interesting to see how this run-heavy, slow-paced offense goes for Fresno this year. And the one thing, too, you have to remember about Kansas is how at times last year, CMAC, the run defense was leaky, was spotty. Now, they say they like the D-line. It's trending in the right direction for Lance Leipold and company this year. They think it's going to be eventually in a position to be better, but you are still talking about, new personnel on that side of the football. How quickly, is that run game going to improve? That's going to end up being the big question, because you look at it, they gave up over 160 rushing yards per game. That put them at 80th last year in college football defensively against the run, Kansas. And you got a team that's going to run the football quite a bit. So the way I see it, Fresno could have success here running the football with their two backs. Kansas struggled against the run last year. And you know what you're going to get out of Fresno. They want fewer possessions, shorten the game, limit possessions, move the chains, keep Kansas offense off the field. And if they have success running the ball and just gradually moving those chains, it suddenly, Connor, becomes a lot to ask Kansas to lay 13. I'm pretty sure Fresno State's going to be on my card. I like Fresno State in this spot. I don't like Kansas's long-term track record as favorites, especially bigger favorites. And I like Leipold, and he's done a great job with this program until really the only bump in the road was the way they played first half of last year Other than that, he's done a really nice job here. But I am just not comfortable laying 13 here. I get it. It's home opener. They're excited for the brand new stadium opening, the first game there. I get it. But I'm not comfortable still laying 13 with Kansas. I fully expect to be on Fresno State plus the points in some form. C-Mac, what do you think here? Interesting game. Mountain West versus Big 12. Fresno State, Kansas.
Yeah, the lone factor here is a little bit this is opening game here. Didn't have, a home field. Now they're back. It's all renovated. So the place will be pumped. That was like, this is the lone thing. Because for me, this is just Fresno. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be on it here in this game. Because I think they could keep it close. One thing, which I think they bring back, their defense was pretty good, last year. Of course, the offense wasn't great. They had some slip-ups in some games. So, and everything that I'm looking at, I think their defense will be all right. And there's just too many question marks. You touched on Kansas here.
He has
their defense
background too, Matt Entz, the head coach. So So I think even though there's some questions about experience and all that, he's a great defensive-minded coach. They could probably craft a good defense regardless, in my opinion. Yeah.
And Kansas, their defense, there's a lot of talk. It's going to be better, play better down the stretch. They still gave up a ton of points. This team just hasn't been good as a favorite too. They haven't. So just to touch on that, Fresno hasn't been good as a dog on the road. There's a lot of things preaching that they haven't been great opening games on the road. There's, I'm sure you guys can rip through, look at all these stats ups, but it's kind of conflicting. Bad team not covering, Fresno a little bit trouble, but I think the number's just too big. I think they'll be able to run the ball in this game. Warner, both these quarterbacks though. Let's just do both here. I have question marks with Daniels. I mean, it's just the injuries, and he played so well. Whatever, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I think he had 14 touchdowns, 12 picks last year. So can he stay healthy? We will see. So I think their offense will be all right. I just think this game is 10 points or less, unless there's just some Warner has some big issues. And Daniels, the turnovers were a problem, and that's what they were so bad at last year. They were so fucking bad, Kansas, in the second half of football games.
Yep.
It was pretty sickening. Now they ended the year a lot better. But I mean, they started out 1-6 or whatever, before they won whatever it was, the 3 out of the last 4. So, I think I don't have a lot of trust in Warner, but I think their defense is good enough here. I think, like you talked about, they're gonna run the football, and I think they can keep this close. I was hoping this would be just another week other than week 1, where it'd be like a real slam dunk. But I think their defense is good enough to hang in this football game, and hopefully their offense can run it and move it enough with Warner not making enough big mistakes against this Kansas team they're talking there a lot, the defense, but I don't really see it from everything. I think it's just a all right defense that's going to give it up a little bit. So I totally agree. This total, what do we get? The slow down. That's what Fresno wants to do, but Kansas played a lot more overs last, and I don't know if their defense is great. What do you think of this total? You like the over here? The 50.5? It wasn't enough for me to bet. I've been looking at it just a little bit, last couple of days.
Fresno's not a team I'm excited to bet the over with
exactly.
what they're going to do. They
I'd rather just have them in the game.
Feed clock. They want to take the air out of the football, limit possessions, and that's the way he was at North Dakota State as a head coach, and that's the way the new offensive coordinator was too. He comes over from South Dakota in the FCS, the new OC for Fresno State, and he also was a run-heavy, slower-paced offense that he implemented there at South Dakota. Josh Davis, the new offensive coordinator. Not to mention the new defensive coordinator for Fresno, Nick Benedetto, has some good pedigree behind him. Northern Illinois, who's always had, at least at times, a little bit of a better defense in that conference. For a conference that isn't always known for amazing defenses, Northern Illinois has had some pretty good defenses in that conference, and Nick Benedetto was there looking over that. So it definitely feels like defensive-minded coaching staff, run-heavy offensive approach. That's a combination that doesn't make me think over. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I think there could be enough sloppiness where it could But from everything, I want the dog here is to keep this game a little bit more low scoring. You know, I'd rather have the points with them than kind of mess with the total, even though it could get there. And we'll see with Warner here on the road, but maybe he can kind of wiggle around running enough and a good game plan so he's not, you know, slinging it everywhere and running for his life. That was a problem too. You know, playing at Devil, I mean, the guys get sacked everywhere, and they're just a horrible football team. So yeah, I'm pumped about this game. You know, when I was you know, breaking it down the last couple of days, looking at it.
Yeah, this is probably one of the next intriguing matchups on the Saturday slate for Week 0, no doubt. You could say this one is too our final game for Week 0. Stanford Cardinal, Hawaii Warriors on the island.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, in Honolulu. Looking forward to that. 7:30 Eastern Saturday. It's not a late game. It's not your typical midnight Eastern time kickoff in Hawaii. For television purposes, they're putting this at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 2:30 in the afternoon in Hawaii. Hawaii 2.5 point home favorites, 51.5 the total here in this game. Stanford's a fucking mess. I don't want him. Period. By default, this is Hawaii or pass for me. By default. I don't want Stanford. Stanford is a program, I think they're in shambles. Obviously, we saw what happened with the Troy Taylor situation, how that just all of a sudden disintegrated in the offseason. And he, of course, no longer there as the head coach of the team. They fired him. And look when they fired him, too. March, just a few months ago, March 25th. Because of an investigation where alleged bullying of members of the Stanford AD by Troy Taylor, and they found enough there to get rid of him and fire him. So, like I said, all of a sudden, and it's not like they fired him in late November or December, right after the season. You fired him in March, so you've got a quick turnaround here. It was basically time for spring camp when they hired Frank Reich to be the head coach here for this Stanford team. And I don't like the hire. And this is not anything against Frank Reich. And I know he's only an interim coach. He's not going to be here for long. They're going to look for another head coach. But you're going to take a guy that's all these years been, you know, coaching in the NFL, you know, and now ask him to coach, you know, kids. He's never coached in college before. I'm looking at his resume, Frank Reich, and he's, you know, coached with the Colts, wide receiver coach, quarterback coach with the Chargers, OC, of course, with the Eagles, and did a nice job there. That's what got him the Colts head coaching job, where he was for 4 years. Briefly, the Carolina Panthers head coach, and obviously it was a disaster for Frank Reich with Carolina in the NFL, his last coaching job, and now here he is in Stanford. Like I said, I think it's not a panic hire, but this is just a stopgap hire, period. You know, that's exactly the way I see it here for Stanford going into it. I'm not a big fan of the guy that's won the quarterback job. I'm not shocked he won it. They announced last week he'd won the job, Ben Gulbranson. This is a guy that's been at Oregon State, you know, the last few years. The numbers are mediocre. You know, you look at the 3 seasons where he got significant games. Well, actually, the first season he got significant games, 10 games in 2022, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. It's not a great ratio. Completion rate's not bad, 62.4. But then again, the completion rate dipped after that down to 60%. And in his last 2 years, he started 6 games at Oregon State, 2023, 2024 combined. And his touchdown to interception ratio, an even 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions for Ben Gulbranson there in his last couple of years with Stanford, with Oregon State. Now the starting quarterback for this game here for Stanford. So I don't have a boatload of trust or confidence necessarily in him. There's just a boatload of turmoil coming out of this program. And it's ridiculous they're in the ACC, but that's another story. But yeah, just a lot of turmoil. You know, it's just, you know, Troy Taylor gone, and now Frank Reich. And this, by the way, you wonder, how the hell did they hire Frank Reich? This is an Andrew Luck deal, because Andrew Luck is a GM right now, quote unquote, because now these college teams, they're hiring GMs now with the changing landscape. with NIL, because it's becoming like a professional league now. You got to sign players and pay them the money, if you want them.
How the fuck? I get it real quick. How she should have never broke up the Pac-12. Like it's just fucking ridiculous. That's what talking about fucking Stanford in the fucking ACC. It's just like, hey, what do I know? Go ahead. Sorry.
So Frank Reich's not a dummy, but he's, like I said, he's just never been in the college game before, and you know what that's like. Doesn't mean automatically the guy in the NFL it's going to work in college. We've seen that multiple times in the past. Not to mention, like Ben Galbranson, like I said, that's a mediocre quarterback. I know Frank Reich works good with quarterbacks, or at least he did, at times at the NFL level, but we'll have to wait and see. The offensive line is not bad, but boy, oh boy, there's a lot of weakness at run. The skill positions don't look great. I'll be honest. There doesn't look like a great lot of speed. Doesn't look like there's a lot of high-end ability with the running back room or the wide receiving core this year. That's definitely a little bit concerning in my mind. Like I said, the offensive line is solid, but again, those skill position pieces, that's where some questions lie for me when it comes to Stanford. Micah Ford, Cole Tabb, your running backs. After C.J. Williams, kind of question marks in the receiving core as well. The defensive side of the football last year, just horrendous. 122nd points per game allowance last year for the Stanford Cardinal on defense. And that is where they were just absolutely abominable, miserable, horrific, whatever word you want to use. They couldn't do anything right. They couldn't stop the run, and they couldn't stop the pass either. They were shredded on the ground, shredded through the air. Definitely ugly numbers all around for the Stanford Cardinal last season. Now, they do have 8 starters back on defense, but when you're talking about defense that sucked last year, how happy are you to have 8 starters back? That's going to end up being, if they're bad starters.
A corner or two, but that's about it.
Secondary is the best group, the best position group on paper, no doubt. There's experience
on paper.
Guys play there,
but they're horrible. I mean, they've been the worst. The past team the last couple of years. So I mean, I don't know what to make of it.
Yet it's still the best position group unit on the defense. It's the second on paper, and yet they still weren't very good last year. And the D line is starting from scratch. The linebacking core is revamped. So don't expect the front 7 to be really all that good. So teams can just line up and probably run the football pretty well against Stanford this year. Question is, will Hawaii do that? Because Hawaii is, run and shoot with Timmy Chang. They want to throw and pass. They want to be balanced. I've said it. I said it about Hawaii in the Mountain West preview. I like Micah Alejado. I think there's definitely a talented quarterback there. Now, we only saw it in a brief glimpse last year, him playing well. We need to see a larger sample size, obviously, of him being able to get the job done. But there's no question about it. Timmy Chang likes him. There's people saying he could be the best Hawaii quarterback, in a very long time here, since the Bryant Moniz days and even further back. There's some people that think we could be talking about Alejado being the best quarterback here since Colt Brennan. Now, that is some serious high praise, because Colt Brennan's one of the all-time great quarterbacks in Hawaii football history. And the current head coach of Hawaii is right up there in that category as well, Timmy Chang. He was one of the great quarterbacks in Hawaii history as well. So if Micah Alejado can come to anything close to Colt Brennan or Timmy Chang of Hawaii quarterbacks past, then there's potential he's going to be really good for them. But again, he's been good so far. It's been a small sample size and a very limited body of work to work with. But, when you look at the offense, he was very solid. He's 70% completion rate, no interceptions either. That's very impressive. Took care of the football last year, did Alejado as well. He showed some ability with the deep ball as well, which was great to see. He has his 2 top receivers back this year. Senecal and Ashlock are back. That's a good thing. The best top running back is returning as well. Landon Sims, 3 of the 5 on the O-line are back this year for Hawaii. This should be a really good offense, or at least it could be. I like Alejado. The running backs back and Sims. They got a good receiving core. The O-line's solid. We know this Stanford defense is depleted. I mean, there could be some points here for Hawaii in this football game on the island on Saturday night. The defensive side of the football for Hawaii, last year, you look at it, struggles again at times. There's no question.
At times. I thought it was all right, though.
Yeah. It was better. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And but still room for improvement. Better,
Yeah,
but still room for improvement from them last year. I will say this year, this is as good a Hawaii defense, at least as good a situation on paper entering the season for a Hawaii defense as I've seen in a long time. This honestly, this should be the best defense since Timmy Chang's been here. And you could say this could be one of the better defenses Hawaii's had in the last decade. They got 9 starters back. They were actually pretty damn solid. Their yards per play numbers, were much improved last year. They've got a lot of their sack leaders back. They got a lot of their best tacklers back. So that's a good sign, no doubt. Now, again, last year the defense was not great, but they weren't the horrible defense either that they had been previously. You could see there were definitely improvements. Their yards per play numbers went down. Yards per rush numbers went down. Yards per pass numbers went down. The number of sacks they got went up. So there were a lot of things that were, improved last year, but they think they can even go further. And now Dennis Thurman is the new defensive coordinator here for this Hawaii team. Very experienced coach. And we will see if he can continue to get improvement out of this defense because, I definitely think this is a defense that can even improve further, CMAC, on what they did last year. So I bet Hawaii early on in the spring and summer. I knew Stanford was a mess. It was +1 at the time. I thought by now it would have gotten to 3, maybe even higher. It is not. And in fact, once it got to 3, we saw some Stanford buyback at that number, down to 2.5, 2. I would still take Hawaii. I don't like this scenario with Stanford at all. They're traveling all the way to the island. Like I said, there's a bunch of the defense was a train wreck last year. I think the offense for Hawaii could be very good. Certainly by Mountain West standards. I like the potential for Alejado. I like that most of the O-line's back. I like that most of the receiving core, including the top 2 guys, are back. The running back, Sims, is back. They should be able to score points in this game. Now, if you're still worried about the Hawaii defense here a little bit against Stanford's offense led by Gulbranson at quarterback, then maybe you take Hawaii team total over. You isolate the team total. You could go that route. As well. In case you're a little bit leery still of the Hawaii defense, I would probably split it up. And I'm going to do that a lot more. I'm sick of losing spread bets or money line bets when my defense sucks, but my offense puts up points. I've lost bets like that before, putting the entire stake on either the money line or the spread, where here I am with Hawaii pick'em, and the last thing I want is all my money on Hawaii at -2.5 or money line, and they score 35 points and they lose 38-35. I don't want to be there. I want to split it up at the very least. Split it up between Hawaii money line spread and Hawaii team total over. That's what I'm doing a lot more of this year because that's happened to me a few times last year where the team total over cashes and the team doesn't cover the spread or doesn't win the game. So that's going to be what I would recommend now. Either you could like I said, I think at least below 3, I would still take Hawaii -2.5 or money line, but definitely have a piece of the team total over because I do expect Hawaii to score some points here. CMAC, what do you think? Stanford, Hawaii.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, I thought if it hit 3 or around there, that we might see it. But or I was waiting too. If it gets there, we'll see the rest of the week. If it goes 3, if it maybe goes 3.5, I don't know. I still think, but this is Hawaii at home. This is where I want them. I think they've got it with the QB, the running backs, and I love the wide receivers that they have. I don't know how Stanford's going to really stop them. I just don't see it flat out. They lost their best D lineman and had 7 sacks. I forget, he transferred out. And you talked about the secondary, and there's a couple all right guys. Wright's a decent safety, I guess. I mean, he had 3 picks. I mean, he's one of the better players they have. But at home here, I just think they could do what they can. And going through the Hawaii defense, they need to shore up some things with the run, the D line a little bit. I mean, that's normally Hawaii. They have those big Lions and Samoans that are pretty good because the secondary, I'd say, is solid. That's what they were better, especially in Mountain West play, was against the pass. So, the game could be competitive, but I think Hawaii gets there. I mean, the 26.5 is -120, 27.5. You're under 4 touchdowns. is plus money, plus 105. So I think they get there. Might not go crazy, but I think they can at least get over that in this football game. So that's exactly what I looked at when I was looking at this, that they'll do enough here at home to get the win.
Team total,
and like you said, maybe it was
split right now for Hawaii.
Yeah, 26.5. Sure. And Hawaii, to end last year, they were good. I mean, they're just better at home. For them, sometimes they're catching points, of course, being here. It's other Mountain West teams, but short number. I think they get the win here. Barely. I'd be sure. I mean, I want to see more from Stanford, just from everything that's going on with this team. I mean, who knows? They could go on to play well, but man, these eyes gotta fucking see it. God damn it. This team is horrible. And by the way, I think at the end of the year, last year, so they lost to Cal 24-21. Every game they gave up more than this 26.5.
Most 40, of the games last year they did.
27, 41, 31.
Now, I know New Mexico's defense from last year, we all remember it was horrible. New Mexico's defense last year. But still, Alejado at home regular season finale, put up 38 points against that New Mexico defense. They won 38-30. He's a good quarterback.
Hey, they put up 27 at home against UNLV.
This game is not much better than New Mexico's last year. You could argue that.
Yeah, they put up 34 against Nevada. I mean, and Stanford couldn't give up. End of the year they gave up 21 to Cal or 24 to Cal.
Yeah,
whatever it was. It seems a little bit easy. A lot of people loving Hawaii, and that gives it a little bit. I kind of want to see the line the rest of the week, but in the end, I think they can get there. And this is another though. If you don't love it, wait a little bit. Maybe there is a slow start. Maybe you want to put everything on this, the bet and jump on it live. So week 1 or 0 as we have to do it in our business. But yeah, it should be fun. I can't wait. Late night on the island. Come on now.
Not so late. Not so late. 7:30.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Not compared to what you're right.
4:30
for TV purposes.
TV.
Yeah.
I think it's CBS on Saturday. I'm pretty sure CBS game on Saturday. Stanford and Hawaii. 2:30 out in Hawaii. This game starts. So this is like an early afternoon game out there on the islands.
Tailgates be wild. There. Holy shit.
Yeah. No.
When they come to Vegas, it's already extra. I mean, it's crazy. I got a lot of Hawaiian Samoan friends, and they're crazy.
And trust me, CBS does not go out there very often. So there you go. You get a national TV game like that. They will be fired up on the island there, the Hawaii natives, no doubt, for that season opener and home opener. All right, there you have it. Great stuff. If you're new to the show, we do not do best bets on the college football hitting the book show. We do not, just because it's early in the week. We haven't locked things in yet. But still, you still get a sense where we're going, what we're thinking. With each game that we break down. So there you have it.
Well said. And sometimes you'll hear from us. We'll just say we are, I mean, for me, you do as well. I mean, if I'm on, I'm going to be on it or I'm on it, we'll let you know, or in the week, which is always on. And we do a shitload of games. So it's a little bit different, our normal one, but fuck, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back. I'm cussing like a sailor today. God damn it.
No, you are. Exactly. Fired up. It's because it's the start of college football. That's why. A little extra piss and vinegar in our guy C-Mac today with the college football season back. Shout out to the chat. James Lazinski, James A. Oldie, Andrew G. Appreciate everyone here. Ross Pitts, T. Moss, Goryan Ninkovsky, Gorky as we call him, Daniel Abuna, Oven Fresh, Timmy Tushu, KP. Appreciate it. Gerald Jones. We appreciate all you guys joining us. Cal Joe, Mike, that great question. Check by Twitter at Bobano Bets. All the info's there. The main one is 6 months. Dub Club subscription is $150 off right now. $400 down to $250. And that's available till NFL week 1. So there you go. Lots of time to sign up for that, Cal Joe, if you're interested. But great question there. All right. Awesome stuff. Before we wrap it up, though, MLB. We do want to touch on MLB just quickly. And C-Mac, I'll go to you first. Any bets you like on the MLB board for Monday night?
Nothing that not really.
It is a lighter
I
slate. Keep that in mind.
I think the Guardians here are live. I think that game could go over as well. Williams has been a lot better on the road, and Gallen just hasn't. I was looking at Ramirez. I might be on a couple props in this game. I'll post it out. But I think the Guardians, they're alive. It's moved a little bit back here to the D-backs.
Yep.
Now it's some places -120. All the money is on them. I mean, they just got their ass waxed. I want to talk about the fucking Rockies. We've already discussed that. And of course, I just have to stay off, and they just win baseball games. Nothing drives me more crazier. Like a madman. Fucking the last few days drives me crazy. That plus money. So yeah, that game there. There's others, like I think the White Sox, they're just playing such bad baseball. The Braves are playing so well. That game I stayed off. You know, it was a game that I wanted to be on the under. I can't with the way Suarez has been pitching. You think this is a good spot for him to pitch well here at home, Havana, but he just don't look right. And Gilbert's the classic guy you want to fade on the road.
I'll be honest, Seattle's on my card. I like Seattle.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have enough trust in him. Can the Phillies, though? And after the Phillies score all those runs yesterday, it's kind of just it's a strange spot that I think could go either way, over, under, and or either side. Definitely in that game. You know who's I think the Orioles. I'll give you one.
Well, Ian, what the hell are you talking about? You like Seattle? Seattle played Sunday night last night. Don't you usually fade that team on Sunday Night Baseball? Playing the very next day. Come on, Williamsport, Pennsylvania to Philadelphia. It's the same damn state. You know, it's not travel's not that big of a deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Orioles just playing good baseball. Rogers pitch. I think first 5. May off a very good start. He is better. I think we'll see. This offense can keep rolling. There, I'll give you one. There's my bet. O's first 5.
I like Baltimore. I took
Even
a shot
more.
for a full game, but first 5 might be even safer if you want to take the bullpen out. But Trevor Ross, he's a bet on or pass pitcher for me right now.
I think so too.
Yep, for the Orioles.
Go ahead, take it away.
Miami, San Diego. A brutal series against the Dodgers, but a nice bounce back. They slaughtered San Francisco last week. They probably do it again here in this series. Look, isn't that crazy how that works? Dodgers suck so much going into that series. San Diego rolling, and San Diego just can't beat the Dodgers consistently. Swept the Dodgers. Unbelievable.
Rays did like this game with this low total, and I love unders. Like I think like Padres don't do anything, lose all those 3 games. Like I think they can get to Ray. Like this is a first 5 team total that I was looking at. Padres have been a little bit hit and miss for me there, which has shown all year that offense. And we just saw it a little bit with the Dodgers and some of the big guys. In those games, Machado and others just struggled. So, but that was kind of one. Ray on the road, walks. Padres get to him. So I was looking at that.
Kansas City, I like a little bit too. I mean, it's the Texas bullpen is so bad, and Walk has just been so consistent at home. So I kind of like Kansas City there. I mentioned Seattle. I lean Cincinnati against the Angels because the Angels, have struggling again a little bit. And I'm with Connor Mack on what he talked about with that Cleveland, Arizona. I think it's an over 8.5. I got 8.5. Even at 9, I like it. That Guardians Diamondbacks over. All right, there you have it. Shout out to everyone. We appreciate it. Hit the like button on the way out.
Real quick, I'll have the games broken down too. I'll clip them out too.
Individual clips. Okay.
Individual clips.
Yep.
We will have those out. So yeah, do us a favor, watch them, give us a like. We're back. We are back.
We are ready. I'm excited for another football season, man, like you can't believe. So happy to be back talking college football. Hit the like button on the way out. For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Monday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We are back tomorrow, Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, MLB hitting the books. And our next college football hitting the books show next Monday, August 25th at our regular time, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Next Monday, and that'll be a long show, much longer than this one. So you don't want to miss that one as we get you ready for week 1. That's it. We're done. We'll see you tomorrow for another edition of Hitting the Books. Until then, class dismissed.